be archived. It might have been when we were in the band.
Advise official contact. Ship information. Bye.
What scale is that? I think wide. Why they change it to wide? It's point.
So tell us about the journey of this C-133.
This C-133, as the Air Force knew it as 61999, came off the line in December of '57, went to Dover Air Force Base, Delaware, and except for a period in 1960 from February to November when it was at Travis, it was at Dover for its entire service life. It was used for all kinds of missions, hauling groceries to Thule, Greenland, large cargo to Châteauroux, France, heavy equipment into Vietnam during the Vietnam War. Finally, in 1971, the Air Force retired the airplanes, and this airplane was sent initially to Davis-Monthan Air Force Base to be salvaged. It was then bought by an outfit known as the Foundation for Airborne Relief. They were going to convert 4 C-133s into flying ambulances. That proved to be an extremely expensive process, and the airplanes were never modified. Finally, Maurice Carlson and Bob Scholten in Anchorage, Alaska, bought this airplane. They foresaw a use of the airplane hauling the 48-inch pipe that was used to build the Alaska pipeline. So it was put back in airworthy condition and moved to Alaska in 1978. Unfortunately, because the airplane was never certified by the Federal Aviation Administration for civilian operations, they were not able to haul the pipe and ended up flying as what is known as a government aircraft, the primary customer being the state of Alaska. During the years in Alaska, they hauled a variety of things, dump trucks, road graders, large house trailers that were used for various purposes in different parts of Alaska. Even at one time, there was a contract to move 90 school buses all over the state of Alaska, because driving them on the road from Anchorage to Nome, for example, is impossible. Finally, the airplane has pretty much reached its 19,000 hours of airframe life. So earlier this year, 2008, Mr. Carlson, operating as Cargo Master Incorporated, sent a letter to the Travis Air Museum expressing his interest in donating the airplane to the museum. And after quite a bit of work, both administrative and maintenance-wise, the airplane was put in shape. The director of the Travis Museum, Mr. Terry Duran, took new insignia to Anchorage so that the airplane was remarked with the Air Force insignia, and it left Anchorage at about noon on the 28th of August of 2008, flying first to McChord Air Force Base in Washington, and then it will depart McChord to go to Travis on the morning of the 30th of August. There it will be the opening act in the Travis Air Expo. It will make several low passes, possibly one in conjunction with a C-17. Then it will land, taxi up before the crowd, do its final engine run, and shut down. And that will end the life, the operational life of all C-130s, which proved to be invaluable for many years to haul heavy and outsized cargo for the United States Air Force.
Okay, so very briefly tell us what makes the C-133 unique to aviation history.
The C-133 is unique in aviation history and military air transport because it was the first airplane to adopt the high wing, low cargo deck configuration, which enabled easy loading direct from a truck or other loading vehicle onto the airplane. In this way, such cargo as intercontinental ballistic missiles, tanks, large trucks could be loaded easily and offloaded and transported to wherever they needed to be used. Until the C-5 came along, the C-133 was the only airplane that could haul loads as heavy as 80 or 90,000 pounds on at least shorter legs, and a typical mission was 45,000 pounds over a leg of 3,500 nautical miles.
Okay, so this is a very historical event. This is the last flight of the plane. How do you feel about this?
I feel about this last flight as probably all other C-133 people do, that finally the airplane is getting the recognition that it really never had in its 15-year service with the Air Force. And we're very happy to see the airplane finally ending up to be preserved in a museum collection rather than being cut up and, as we used to say, turned into tuna cans.
Can you very briefly tell me about your military career with this aircraft?
I came to the C-133 from an assignment in Thailand. I was stationed at Travis Air Force Base with the 84th Military Airlift Squadron. As a navigator, I spent 27 months at Travis and about 18 overwater missions to Vietnam, in most cases, a couple of missions to Australia, hauling heavy cargo that was needed by either the combat forces in Vietnam or the various other customers that had a very large or very heavy piece of equipment to be moved. When the airplanes were retired, then I went over to the C-5 and continued my flying career in that airplane.
Great.
The C-133s were stationed not only at Travis with what later became the 60th Military Airlift Wing, but also at Dover. Two squadrons, the 1st and the 39th Airlift Squadrons, operated all of the C-133A models. At Travis, we had the B models, which were the ones capable of loading the ICBMs. So there were 3 squadrons of people on both sides of the country supporting DoD missions all over the world. The 3 C-133 squadrons operated literally around the world, moving high priority or heavy and outsized equipment to nearly every part of the world. One mission went to Antarctica, numerous missions went to Greenland, all over Africa, all through the Pacific. Anywhere that there was something big and heavy to be moved, that's what the C-133 did.
You're gonna lose him. That jet's gonna swallow him.
Well, that's fine. I can stop and
Yeah, that jet's gonna swallow him. He's so big. Yep, that's them. I can tell them whining.
C-133 on the ground, outboard shut down for taxi.
Colonel, what's he doing?
He's got his outboard engines shut down because he only needs the inboards to taxi. So the follow me truck will meet him. That's a sound no C-130 makes.
Right now?
I'll keep filming. Yeah, I'll keep filming here, Michael. And APU shuts down.
Cal's right here. Yeah.
I'm in trouble, huh? Hang on.
Can you open that up for me so I can get a picture there?
Open the hatch to check the oil in the aft part of the nacelle. C-133 comes with a genuine Alaska license plate. Now, flight engineer Ken Kozlowski is checking conditions in the number 4 nacelle. Looks like a little oil. Well, on the left you have George Radovich, who flew Loadmaster on this airplane for about 6 months, and Mike Congdon, one of the pilots, brought the airplane down.
What happened today with the C-133?
Well, it was a routine flight. We were moving the airplane down to Travis and stopped here to drop off an engine for the museum, and can't say anything special. It was just a routine flight. We flew down at 21,000 feet, and pretty much just like any other flight. Weather was good. So
What was your total time in flight?
we were just a little over 5.5 hours.
Okay. Did you have any special things to address on this flight?
Nothing real special. It's just another flight.
So this is the last flight of this airplane. How do you feel about that?
Well, we all have kind of mixed emotions about it. It's good that it's going to a good home. We'd kind of like to keep flying it, but things have changed, businesses have changed, and so it'll be good that it's in a good home instead of going to the boneyard or scrap piles. And it's still flying. We're anticipating a normal trip down to Travis.
And what was your history with this plane?
Well, I started flying as co-pilot on it shortly after Cargo Masters got it. Flew with Norm Moldoff, who is a retired Air Force instructor, and over the years I just got current in the airplane, and then I've been flying as a captain on it for the last 20 years about, and it's a straightforward airplane. It's no big surprises. It's Douglas. It's well built. So we've had not too many serious problems and just moved lots of freight with it.
And what was your name, sir?
Tom Carlson.
And your title?
Title co-pilot.
Okay. How'd the flight go today?
Really good, smooth. We didn't really any problems at all. We had fairly decent weather, mostly undercast all the way. So smooth air.
So did you have any issues leaving or any issues at all?
Today, no, not really. Everything went really good today. Yesterday was a little hectic for the check flight and so forth. We had a little bit of electrical problems, but those were solved, then that went real well. And this morning, everything just fell into place. Pretty good.
Great. Any special things you had to address on this flight at all? Anything? I mean, this thing, when was the last time this thing flew?
April of 2006.
Okay. So you took care of all those issues before the flight? You didn't have any issues during the flight down here?
No, not really, none at all. There were, surprisingly went very well. The airplane ran just beautifully, and it usually does.
Great. So this is the last flight of the plane. It's a historic event. How do you feel about that?
It's exciting that we're doing this, and it's putting the airplane to rest in a good home down in Travis. It's also sad that it's leaving Alaska, because that's been its home for 30 years, and it did such a wonderful job up there moving freight in and out of the villages out in the bush and the Arctic slope. Just unmatched by any of the airplanes up there. Yeah, but it's, that part's sad, but it's good that it's finding a good home.
Have a good trip coming down?
Yeah, it was really nice and pretty uneventful. The airplane flew great.
I made several journeys on these.
We don't have an autopilot, so it's all hand flown all the way down. The autopilot, we never
That's what
worked
you
in
get
there.
paid for.
That's right. Yeah.
I was going to ask you about Kozlowski. Was he a civilian guy?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. He was hired by my father and he bought, well, long before he bought this airplane, but he bought the first airplane, the B model. And then when my father bought this airplane in '78, he sent Ski down to Tucson to get it going, and it's been Ski's baby ever since.
So your dad was owner of the Midnight Air Command, I call it.
I don't think I've ever heard it called that.
Yeah, we called it air cargo. Was it? We had our same initials as Max, Midnight Air Cargo or something.
Oh yeah.
Anyway, I had a friend, George Radovich, went up and flew as a loadmaster well, and little field flight engineer that was on the first one.
Yeah.
And Norm Moldoff, he was a pilot.
Right. Yeah, he flew for my father for many years.
Yeah.
Flight go today.
Well, the airplane did really good. We have one little electrical problem. Other than that, she did really good for 5 hours. 5.5 hours actually was the leg. So I'm real happy with it. But it's always done this. That's the thing. No matter, every time we bring it out to go fly it always flies good. So little problems you work with or work through, and it's a testament to the airplane.
Great. So did you have any issues leaving or any issues?
No, like I said, I just had one little electrical problem, and I'm going to fix that tomorrow. It'll take about 20 minutes to fix it. So other than that, no, everything's running good. The props, engines, everything's working good. So I can't complain at all. I mean, this makes my job a lot easier. I don't want to be working on this thing too long. So I just want to get it down there.
Okay, so this is the last flight of the plane, very historic event. How do you feel about that? You know, you just spent 5.5 hours in it. How does it make you feel? This might be the last. This is the last flight.
Well, tomorrow will be the last flight. Well, not Saturday. 2 days. Saturday will be the last flight, and that's when it's going to hit you. I mean, this one was, the first long flight, and you're sitting here and you're just wondering what's going to happen, and how the thing's going to react. And now that we know it's flying good, the next flight, you're going to have a little time to reflect, and when you make the last landing, I think that's when it's going to really hit us that it's all done with. But I've been fortunate to fly with some great guys, and fortunate to work on a great airplane.
Great. Okay, is there anything else?
No, I'm pleased to be I'm glad this is going to a museum. I mean, it's one thing I'm glad, instead of getting chopped up into beer cans, I'm glad it's going to a place where other people can enjoy it. It's part of history, and it's a good thing for it.
Great.
Okay, man.
Thank you so much. How was the trip today?
Oh, it was great. I wouldn't gone out with any other crew. These guys are most familiar with this airplane. I don't think anyone could fly this thing except for these guys, especially the old man there. That guy's got this thing down. He's so smooth with them controls. It's just amazing to watch this guy fly this thing. And over the years, I've been side by side with Ski doing maintenance on this thing, and just running through it. He's the flight engineer on this thing, and we've been working on it here for 2 weeks, just nonstop, trying to get this thing up and ready to make the air show down there in Travis. And yeah, I don't know a lot.
Cool. Okay, so what was your job on this?
Basically to make sure the wheels were up and all the landing gear, and just overlook Ski's work, and just help load things down, strap things down. Gone on a couple trips with them up to the North Slope up there in Alaska, delivering fire trucks and trash trucks out to all those villages up north, and it's amazing to fly this thing. I don't know, man.
Yeah, no, tell me. It's amazing. What's it like flying in this thing?
Oh, it's like nothing else. There's nothing to compare this thing to.
The last flight of this plane, how does that make you feel? You've had some experience on this plane, and what's it make you feel today?
Well, it kind of hurt because I don't get to do it again. I've always enjoyed getting out with these guys and delivering stuff with this thing. It's you don't see too many of these things hauling freight or anything like that up there in Alaska. They got just smaller planes, doing it. And so we all decided to put my license plate on the back for just tribute to Alaska to show proof it's been up there, I guess. So we put a little stamp of Alaska on the back there. But we were hoping we didn't get pulled over on takeoff because of the expired tags.
All right.
And it's still up there.
So how did it make you feel at land? Did you run back there right away and make sure it was still there?
Well, I wasn't so anxious. I was just anxious to get out of this plane.
Long flight, wasn't it?
Oh yeah, it was real long. And well, I'll tell you what, this is a little hotter here than it up there in Alaska. I'm pretty humid.
Yeah.
I've never been to California before, so it's the first for me.
Oh yeah, you think this is hot?
Yeah, I'm waiting for Travis. They told me.
Yeah. Point up to the license plate there.
Fuzzy one, because it is a fuzzy one.
Yeah. Okay. Awesome. Thank you very much.
It's kind of interesting to see that.
The compasses. And there used to be what's called a Loran in this box, but they've taken it out and replaced it with something else. I got 1,800 hours sitting in this seat. Where's got the Travis airplane, and Travis has got the Dover airplane.
Too much switching around.
That's the way it worked.
Was that it?
Yeah. Yeah, the last airplane built's at Dover.
Okay.
So.
But they said this one flew out of Travis for 8 or 9 months.
It was at Travis from February to November of '60. There was a period when Travis was building up, so they, they moved a few Dover airplanes out to Travis so that, among other things, people could get training while they built up the crew force. And then by the time they got enough B models at Travis, then they shipped this one back east, and that's where it stayed.
But so she's a legitimate airplane for
Absolutely,
Travis. Yep.
absolutely. Too bad the world map isn't there, but
Yeah.
things change.
Yep.
Oh, really? There used to be a
Yeah,
map
they used
there,
to be, when it came out of the factory, there was a map showing the MAC, or MATS, Military Air Transport Service, the routes that was on this wall. The one at Dover still has it.
huh? That's cool.
$10,000 in the fuel fund.
Which company is it?
It's called Flightcraft.
Okay.
It's in Holland.
Jerry told us that. I didn't realize
Yeah.
Chip was associated.
Yeah.
That was nice.
That's because, I put the word out on, it's called the Propliners website, conversation site. And he says, hey, we're thinking we'd like to hand some money in. I said, well, talk to Jerry Duran. He did.
Because that fuel is expensive.
Yeah, well, they got a deal. They got an air show deal at only $3.80 a gallon instead
Wow.
of $6.
Wow.
So.
Okay, we need to grab these people to interview them. Let's go do that now. What?
Tony, what's your call sign?
Is the license plate still up there? Yeah.
Janice. Oh. Are you on the phone?
Okay. Where is it? There it is. Let's see what we have.
Why don't you come up here with me, Jake?
That's right.
Jake, kill your light. Okay. You can wait till it comes out, though.
pull the wind, Tom? Want to use it to pull in the... Hang on. Okay, let's put these over.
Taking the tie downs on some of the cargo. That's a tow bar for the C-133. Most airplanes have one specially built for the airplane. This 35,000 pound capacity winch found a lot of use in moving cargo on and off the airplane. It was vital to towing the ICBMs and other heavy equipment in from the aft cargo entrance. Yeah, he can close it down.
Okay.
Morning of 30 August. Ground power unit has started. Crews preparing for their departure to Travis Air Force Base. Unfortunately, Mount Rainier won't be visible this morning. And here you see one of the crew members hauling the last bit of gear out to the airplane. There we see the outer pane of the window that was cracked on the way down. Unfortunately, that's the outer pane.
Cracked when we landed at McCord.
Cracked when it landed in McCord. That's why windows are made with multiple panes. And pilot Mike Congdon is checking the flip documents for preparing for the flight to Travis. Looking out the co-pilot side window. We'll see the south end of the runway. Departure today will be on runway 16, basically straight out, headed for Travis. Engineer is checking his panel. Part of his pre-flight. Ken Kozlowski, pilot Tom Carlson, looking over the shoulder.
The FMS is programmed and ready to go.
Engineer Ken Kozlowski is doing his internal pre-flight in the cargo compartment. Checking the aft hatch. Checking the upper surface of the wing for condition. Number 1 nacelle. Been working this airplane for 35 years. So his pre-flight is a lot shorter than the standard Air Force pre-flight, which probably took most of an hour. And out on the right wing, number 3 engine. Out to the, nearly to the tip of the right wing. Checking the condition of the vertical tail. Note how close the propeller tips are. You can imagine what the interaction of the transonic shock waves coming off of those propeller tips can do in terms of vibration and noise. Ken's wife, Janice Kozlowski, is along on the trip.
turn a little bit harder because they have generators on them, but just to feel. What, you're looking for anything sudden stoppage? You know. Yeah, we'll kick it out of the way so it's so the blades are. What? Long time, man.
Did you come up with there?
No, I've had it for a long time. All right, well.
We're on to the other side, right?
Yeah, we'll do the other side.
A visual check on the propellers, the outside of the engine. Check the latches on the access suspension, gear doors. Pull the down lock pins for the landing gear. Check the horizontal surfaces and the tail cones. Hens checks the gear underneath. You see the APU exhaust. Pull the pins on the left side gear. And photographer Michael Lenow shadowing Ken Kozlowski. Checking the air intake for the APU and collect all the gear pins. Stow them in the aircraft. A little frosty this morning. Not bad, very pleasant morning for the final flight. And checking in the nose gear compartment. Pull the nose gear pins. Well, the shocks have been pulled, put after the wheels. I think that's roughly going back into the airplane. Now in military days, this cargo compartment would have been stuffed totally full with equipment. That C-133 engine and the tow bar amount to pretty much no cargo at all. And Ken Kozlowski giving a little more info to the visitor to the airplane before we take off. Aaron Henderson is the 5th member of the crew, conferring with Tom Carlson and Ken Kozlowski. And the interior and the overheads, just a maze of bundled wires running the full length of the airplane. Miles of wire all bundled up. Overhead hatch going up just after the center wing. Where the cargo deck meets the ramp, cargo deck was 90 feet long. but there was extra space aft so that long cargo could actually overhang the ramp that went down. And in the very rear was access through the rear bulkhead into the unpressurized portion of the fuselage and ultimately into the vertical stabilizer. Looking forward, underneath the flight deck, there's a crew bunk. It was incredibly noisy in flight. Most often used to stow baggage. Large yellow oxygen container for the oxygen system. And forward, over a small bulkhead, was access to a variety of electrical and mechanical components just after the wheel well. C-133 even had an enclosed latrine, which made it a little more comfortable in flight. It also was a lockable compartment when the airplane was on the ground. The crew could stow valuables and baggage and so on in the latrine. Access to the flight deck was a 5.5-foot ladder. The navigator panel. C-133 navigators flew around the world backwards.
Good morning.
Overhead near the nav seat was the sextant mount. Celestial navigation was a very important part of operating this airplane. Navigational equipment basically was not much more than B-24s had in World War II. The side panel near the nav seat had radar controls, number of circuit breakers, intercom controls,
There he is. What's going on? So how we gonna
basic
land this
systems
thing,
essential
Mac?
for the navigator's instrument panel.
We're ready.
I'm doing alright.
Get some water.
Oh no, I'm good for now.
Where's Janice?
She's out chopping her own dog.
That'll be unplugged and towed away, and the aircraft will be on ship's power. Pilot Mike Condon making one final walk around. Dennis Kozlowski boards the airplane. Aaron Henderson checking things out. First was Ken Kozlowski. And there goes the APU. First step to getting her off the ground. Ground power unit disconnected. Going away. Shortly we'll see number 1 start and the rest of the engine. 2008. Sound echoing off the hangar off to my right. The airplane will disappear in the dip of the runway. Next time we see it will be on its departure. Hear the sound echoing off the hangars as it passes by. Can't really hear it from the airplane itself. And we can just see the tail of the airplane as he moves into position for takeoff. And that characteristic sound of the end of the propellers. Power coming up. Rolling.